Om Shri Sai Ram, offering my most humble and loving salutations at the lotus feet of our beloved Bhagwan, Sri Satya Sai Baba. Dear brothers and sisters, this offering has been a great blessing for all of us. I am grateful to Bhagwan for this opportunity. Let us start this evening again with our prayer and we'll continue with our discussions. And I request all of you to please join me in. O Lord, take my love and let it flow in the fullness of devotion to Thee. O Lord, take my hands and let them work incessantly for Thee. O Lord, take my soul and let it be merged in one with Thee. O Lord, take my mind and thoughts and let them be in tune with Thee. O Lord, take my everything and let me be an instrument to work for Thee. Om Shri Sai Ram. Brothers, let me bring in my other brother who is joining me for this. Brother Raju, Sai Ram, and welcome.
Sai Ram.
We are ready for yet another evening of deliberations and contemplation on Bhagwan and Avataric journey. Before that, brother, I wanted to share few thoughts on our comments which our viewers have been sending. And I thank all the brothers and sisters who have been actively participating in this homam, if I may call it, a yajnam. Your encouraging words, your suggestions are more than welcome, and they really help us to re-evaluate our offerings and understand that we are, Bhagwan's grace, we are on the track. So I thank you all, really, that you have been sending your thoughts, suggestions of whatever you feel about the program and how you wish to see more of it, and really appreciate it. And Raju, somebody had mentioned, if we can work on transcribing what we are talking here, because this is such a valuable tool. So I can only say that if Bhagwan blesses us and he guides us, why not? It may turn that way. What do you think?
Yes, brother. I think some of the brothers have kind of come forward, so we are working with few of them. Let's see how Swami
Excellent.
blesses
Let's
with
see.
it.
That's what I said. I would only leave it to Bhagwan, how he will guide us. And from our side, we can say we are more than welcome. If anybody wishes to join in this offering and offer help, we are more than well ready for that. So this is everybody's offering. We are just hopefully, prayerfully, an instrument to play this role. So welcome, everybody. So let us continue this beautiful evening, invoking Bhagwan's presence and his blessings. And as we know, we have been discussing about the avataric journey. And today we will jump into looking at how this avatar Ram, this word Ram, was originated. Brother Raju, I was reading Shiva Puran, and it amazes me to see that how the whole thing is a drama which the Lord has put it in order, and we all have to play the role by His grace. So we don't know which part we'll get and when it will happen. So in the in Shiv Puran, a very fascinating thing is even before Parvati's marriage with Lord Shiva, which means Mother Sati had left, and Shiva Parvati was worshipping and praying, and then she actually wins over Lord Shiva, but she puts a condition to Lord that Lord, you come and take blessings and permission from my father. So you have to come as a duty bound person and ask for my hand. And in that duration, Lord Shiva has to come now because as Lord, he could not ask. And we'll see why he can't ask because there are laws governing the Lord himself. So he converts himself into a dramatics, a person, he dresses up and he performs a role enactment depicting the 10 avatars of Lord Vishnu. At that time, there was no idea about Dashavatars. There was no concept about when the Narayan would take birth. In fact, it was Satyug period. It was Rityug period, is it? It's Kriti Yuga, and then he's talking about Treta Yuga. So you can imagine how what a forecast it was. And that is a time when Lord is explaining to Mother, and he talks about Ram. And the moment Lord Shiva says Ram, he himself is like totally drenched in bliss. And when anybody inquires that, Lord, you narrated this story, who is this character? When is going to happen? And Shiva, in his beautiful, inimitable style, kept quiet. And he indicated it will, and that's it. And then we see that Ram, the word Ram, was conceived by Lord Shiva himself
Yes,
much before than even the concept of avatar could have been thought about in the humans.
absolutely. In fact, in one of the discourses, Swami very clearly mentions, he says, you think that Rama, Krishna are only limited to those periods of time. For example, Rama, Swami says, when you mention Rama, the avataric period comes only as Treta Yuga or Krishna or Dwapara. And Swami goes on to explain, but it is not so. He says Rama is part of every age, he is part of every story. And then beautifully Swami explains, he says, when Rama is mentioned, what is being spoken about is also the principle of attraction, that which attracts everybody. Ramyate iti Rama, that which allures everybody. That is Rama. And he says that is part and parcel of the creation. And he says that is part of every yuga, of every story, of every narration. And Rama is the immanent flow that is not seen to the naked eye. Now,
Beautiful.
if you go to the origination of this word Rama, there are various uh, definitions, descriptions as to how this word came up. But unlike all those definitions, all those descriptions, there's only Swami who can give that insightful description or the definition of how this word Rama came about. Swami, when he mentions as to how this word came about, he also, apart from other things, he also sends across a very powerful message that Rama is a culmination of the Shiva Tattva and also the Vishnu Tattva. There is no difference between that what the Shaivism or Vaishnavism is being spoken about. He says that mergence, where the two seas merge to become the massive ocean, that is called Rama. As we all know, uh, Rama is a word which has these two letters, Ra and Ma. So where did this Ra come from, or where did Ma come from? Was it not there earlier?
So you
Why
want
is
to
it
share
that?
that? Yeah. Mantras? Okay.
Yes, as Swami explains that for the believers of Narayana, the, who conceived Lord in the form of Narayana, the important mantra, the most important mantra is Om Namo Narayanaya. Now we have this one almost 230 odd feet statue of Ramanuja in Hyderabad. It's called the Statue of Equality, Samdamurti. And why did Ramanuja become famous? Because he went on top of the Gopuram and he uttered this sacred mantra. What is this mantra? That mantra is Rama, the Guru of Ramanuja describes that mantra which is not to be spoken out when your mind is agitated. That mantra which is the most sacred of all, he gives 16 descriptions of the power of that mantra, which if uttered even in the dream state, which assures you liberation. Says, he goes on to explain, he says that mantra is nothing but and he gives that Ashtakshari mantra, and that is Om Namo Narayanaya. Now, Swami says in this mantra Narayanaya, we just spoke about all the you take about you so for example there are known 324 upanishads and 18 to 19 puranas. Now most of them 80-85% of them deal with the shiva tattva, the Vishnu tattva. Now all that essence is, they say, is packed into this mantra Om Namo Narayanaya. Now, Swami goes on to explain, even within this mantra, there is one letter that forms the basis for this. And it's literally the axis which holds both the meanings together. And that is Ra, the word Ra. If you take away Ra, so when we say Om Namo Narayanaya, it means I pray to the Lord Narayana. So Narayana, uh, that which is spread all around me, that which is the most powerful. Now if you take away, Swami says, if you take away that word Ra and it becomes Om Namo Naya Naya, the entire meaning actually becomes opposite. So that which is dead, that which is not spread around me, that which is not present, it, that is the meaning if you without the letter Ra. So essentially, if the 85 percentage of Upanishads or the 60 percentage of Puranas, if they sum up the entire, if that entire meaning is summed up into in this Ashtakshari mantra, this Ashtakshari mantra is pivoted on that one word called Ra. Om Namo Narayanaya, that Ra. From there, sage Valmiki picks up, as Swami says, the word Ra. And to the, now we go to the other aspect of our Hinduism, where they say that Lord has manifested himself as Shiva. And what is Shiva being prayed with? Shiva is being prayed with as Om Namah Shivaya, the Panchakshari mantra, the 5-lettered mantra. And again, there is a beautiful description about this mantra, how the entire Krishna Yajurveda, Shukla, how that Yajurveda forms two parts, and of that form the pivotal parts from Rudram, and of that comes the central part of it comes from the eighth or ninth Anvakam, and from that Anvakam comes this Om Namah Shivaya, that mantra. Now, to this mantra, again, what is the most important word? It is Ma. And Shivaya means that which is
Auspicious.
auspicious, that which is Mangalam. To that I pray. When I say Om Namah Shivaya, to that auspiciousness, to that grace, I pray. Now, when I say that Om, if you take away that Ma and it becomes Om Nah Shivaya, I pray that that Mangalam gets destroyed. It becomes exactly opposite. And hence, Swami says that word Ma in Namah Shivaya, the Ma becomes the most important word. Now, this Ma of Om Namah Shivaya and Ra of Om Namo Narayanaya. These two are combined together and comes the holy word called Rama. And how powerful is this word Rama? There is
Actually,
a
sorry, they used to call it as a potency word, right? This R
right,
and M is the potency sound, and this gives potency to the mantra. And imagine the two powerful mantras, potency merging together, create the word.
Ram.
Carry on, yeah.
Yes. And how powerful is this, as brothers beautifully put, that is the, in some sense, the Bijaksharas of these two mantras, these
Hmm.
two letters. And now those two letters are actually summed together, and this beautiful word called Rama comes. There is in fact, there's beautiful discourse. Swami talks about the power of this word Rama. Swami, he is an unparalleled teacher. Various facets of the Lord are visible to the eye that is observant. At one point, he's a great teacher. At another point, he's a great orator. But if we observe carefully, he's a great poet. When he talks about that flow of Telugu is capable only to a poet. Swami gives description of the word Rama. He says, "What is the potency of this word Rama? This name Rama. It is that name hearing which those hordes of Rakshasas were tremoring in fear. It is that word hearing which hordes of monkeys were lost in ecstasy. It is that word hearing which even the distant rishis are assured of protection. It is that word hearing, chanting which a, uh, a dacoit like or a thief like Ratnakara becomes Valmiki himself. He says this word is the essence of Swami. He goes on to describe it's a Ganges that actually flows out. The flow of meaning, the flow of words of the Lord is impeccable. So Swami goes on to explain to the effect of Rama, and I don't need to explain more. If there is one word that has captured the history of India, that has glued together societies across ages and times, if there is one character that identifies the character of Sanatana Dharma, it is this word Ram. It is this word Rama. You go to North India, your every namaskar has Rama. You go to South India, every nook and corner has this temple of Rama. You go to Western India, you have every other syllable kind of becomes associated with Rama. You go to Eastern India, there are in fact, Eastern part of the world, there are statues, there are currency notes, there are dramas, there are countless cultural and political systems that are named after Rama. And this is the word Rama that is, in some sense, as uh, as the famous intellectual Sitaram Goel puts it, it is the one word that carries the essence of Sanatana Dharma, Rama, Sri Rama.
Raju, when you were mentioning little diversion, you
Yes,
mentioned
sir.
about the Kavi. Bhagwan mentioned that you said he's a beautiful Kavi also. And one day, if you recall, in our time, we had a Kavi Sammelan for Swami. So all the so-called poets and Kavis got together in different languages. And I approached Bhagwan and he said, Swami, want to do Kavi Sammelan for you. And he was very happy. It is actually supposed to be a mushaira style, Urdu ghazals and poetry. So I had written something, and all the boys who had different languages, we got together and we made a presentation to Swami. What I'm trying to say that in that evening, Bhagwan casually asked Era, "So you are a Kavi?" He asked very casually, "Are you a Kavi?" So we all laughed because we know that how to call ourselves Kavi in front of Swami. But boys try to be extra modest. They said, "No, Swami." He said, "Who is a Kavi?" He asked a back question, "Who is a Kavi?" And whenever he asks such questions, it's better to shut up because something beautiful is going to come out. And Bhagwan himself responded. He said, Kavi is the creator. Kavi is one who creates. And who is the creator? Me. Rest of you are using words and just manipulating the words and thoughts. So you are only mixing and matching the words if you are presenting it. I am the real Kavi. So God is the only Kavi. So he just narrated like that. Kavi is creator. So Rachayita. So he said that Rachayita is Lord. He said, I am the Lavi. So he just reminded me of that when he said he's the most fascinating Kavi. Actually, he is the Kavi.
He is
So
the
it's
Kavi.
fantastic. Yeah.
Like there's just one more thing related to Rama and the poetry comes to my mind. I was when Swamin asked me to speak for one of the occasions, I picked up one poem basis on which I made some changes to it, which is Rama Rama Varichare Rama Rama Sadavatara Rama Rama. So it goes on. It basically talks about, it's a lyrical way of talking about Rama's glory and Rama's greatness. It is picked up from a very less known poetry of Telugu, and I had made a good amount of changes. It more or less no, I was quite confident that nobody would identify, nobody would even know that it is actually from that source. And in fact, even if someone identifies, I have made enough changes, so it is as good as mine. So I was uh, quite quite sure that even if this comes up, I can say that I made relevant grammatical changes in the structure of the poem. So I
So you
can
can say
assure.
I was inspired. I was inspired by that poetry.
Thank you. So after the speech, no, people have kind of they came to me and they said beautiful narration and all that, but as usual, Swami caught me unaware. He caught me. He asked me, said it's all good. Said what is that line which you spoke about Rama? And I said, Swami, this Rama Rama Varichare Rama Rama Sadavatara. Swami said, hmm. And there was one person, one elderly uh, uh, person, gentleman, he was not aware of its meaning. He's not actually a Telugu speaking person, but he just wanted to make Swami happy. So he started praising me because he felt that praising Swami students would make Swami happy. So he started saying that Swami, your boy spoke so well. Swami, the content was so good. And then Swami looked at that person and said, do you know where this poem comes from? Says, Swami, I think he wrote. Swami said, yes, he wrote it. He made certain changes to the original one. But I'm asking you where is the original comes from? Both of us were blank. So he looked at me and he said, like the elderly gentleman, he looked at me and he was raising his left elbow, saying, asking me, tell me. So I was not sure whether I can come in out of because it might sound out of place. So Swami was looking at him, then Swami looked at me. Swami gave a beautiful smile, and then Swami explained about that particular poet, about what inspired that poet to write this poem. Swami was talking about how this person walked in after his bath. He walked into his prayer room, and there he saw that Rama statue. His daughter cleaned up the statue. It is not decorated. It's just that bare statue of Rama, and there is no Sita, no Lakshmana. Rama was only holding that bow. It's a small statue of Rama, wooden statue it seems, and he was holding. And mind you, this poet comes from 13th century, and here is Swami describing as if he's actually seeing it. Even you can actually feel when Swami is saying "Atla vachadu," like you can feel that emotion in Swami's eyes and words. And he looks at Rama, and then this poem comes out spontaneously, and later he goes and records. I
So
was
sweet.
stunned. You cannot get this historical insight of this poem anywhere else. You might have people talking about the structure and grammar of the poem, but the bhava of the poem is known only to the Lord.
So,
And it is that
just
Rama.
just another story. I'm just remembering the story. Brother Sonam told me that it seems there was a time when Bhagwan would expect some new programs every kind of often day and weeks. So he had heard and very he got an old song of Hariom Sharan. He got a diary in which that song was written, and he felt that this song is not so popular, and he made a little change, a few words here and there, and he put the music and he sang. He presented it as a new song to Swami. Then after that singing was done, then Swami said, just because you change few words, it does not become yours. And he literally told him that this song was given by me. That was Swami's style of saying. He said, this song I gave it to Hariom Sharan. And you just change some few words and you think it's yours. So, when Bhagwan has to explain these things so beautifully, that is our Kavi Lord. Huh? That's our Lord as a
Absolutely.
Kavi. Beautiful.
It is the
Okay,
same
let's
Rama.
come back to our Ram. So
Yes,
beautiful.
sir. Now, since you mentioned that it was given to someone by the Lord, now if I may ask you, now I have mentioned about Rama. What do you think was the context as to how was that Sai name given to humanity?
Sign it. See,
Yes.
we don't know how the whole thing has turned out, but here is all of us are familiar with the Sai Shwara with Mahe, that Sai Gayatri, and very recently we had a very beautiful discussion on Ved, in which this Gayatri was also shared by our brothers, and we discussed about it. There is one thing which I would like to repeat, which our brothers have already told, that when you write the Gayatri, when the Gayatri is given to somebody, This was given to an, I would say, contemporary sage, a rishi or maharishi, Sri Gandikota Subramanyam Shastri Garu. He he saw this poem, this verse, this Gayatri in his meditation, and he repeated for Bhagwan. He said, Swami, I've got this Gayatri. And it goes, Sai Ishwaraya Vidmahi Satyadevaya Dhimahi Tanna Sarva Prachodaya. He had a doubt, a question in his mind, that in the protocol of Gayatri writing, the last line must have the Isht's name, the God's name. Like we have Tanno Rudra Prachodaya, Tando Dante Prachodaya. So anybody whose Gayatri it is, the last line must have the name of the propitiating the God. Here it should be Tanna Sai Prachodayat because it was a Sai Gayatri. So he thought that did I hear it wrong? Because it should be Sai but it says Sarva. So he had this confusion in his mind and he comes for darshan. And Swami comes to him straight away and says, what you're thinking, don't worry, because what you got is absolutely right. I gave you Sarva, not Sai. So he then rose up and he said, Bhagwan, but should it not have your name? He said, Ade, this is my name. So this is Sarva, because I am not one identity, I am Sarva. And that Sarva meaning is that all encompassing, that all forms of God's essence is in this form of Satya Sai. That is why his Gayatri has Tanna Sarva Prachodayat. So which means the potency of all the gods is in Satya Sai. So if you chant Sai Gayatri, it is equivalent to chanting any Gayatri. So that is how it got explained. And as we were discussing that, I realized that Sai word has got two elements if you look at it. Okay, the first element is Sa and second is I, E. And Sai S refers to Sarva and E is Ishvara. Ishvara word in Sanskrit means the Supreme Lord. And Sa, as we have got to know, is Sarva, which is all encompassing Supreme Lord, the one which has the essence of all the gods. That becomes Sai. So Sai is the Sarveshwara. So the word Sai comes as a Sarveshwara. The Sai is the Lord of Lords, the all encompassing Lord is Sai. Like Lord Ram has the essence of Shiv and Narayan, whereas Sai has an essence of all the supreme potencies together. I really feel blessed that this kind of thoughts Bhagwan has given. Such a beautiful mantra, so simple, so easy to chant. Sai Ishwaraya Vidmahe Satyadevaya Dhimahi Tanna Sarva Prachodayat. So this is the Sai which we are worshipping. This is the Sai which came to us, played with us, and allowed us to experience that supreme knowledge.
Beautiful. In fact, when the Pedabottu, as she had written in one of those verses, and she writes in a notebook as Sarva Devata Swarupa, and later that evening when she opens her book, she finds Swami corrected it in Sarva Devata Atita Swarupa. And Swami explains to her that it is not just the embodiments of all form, but is also something that is beyond all forms.
Please
Sarva
say this, Raju. Please say this in a slow way, and it tell the right words so that all because audience is international, so they may not get it. So please repeat it in a slow way, that slow manner.
So Pedaputtu, she was writing the way in which Swami is basically of Nomu, basically of offering worship to the Lord. So that the protocol, what that was what she was writing. And in fact, when she had written it, she had written a notebook from her mind, but she had conceived those thoughts, as you said, like the mantra drashta. So she kind of had the intuition of what the mantra should be, and in that flow she wrote Om Namo Sarvadevata Swarupa. She basically to that Lord who is the embodiment of all forms, to him I bow, and then it goes on to that Lord who wears ochre robe, to that Lord who has that matter. So it goes on. In that series, this one line mentions about Sarva Devata Swarupa. Then later in the evening, when she goes back, she after darshan, Sam had not spoken to her anything. Then she goes back to her place. She opens up the notebook. She wants to continue where she left, and then suddenly, in there she finds a correction in Swami's handwriting. It is not Sarva. In that line, Sarva Devata, Swami puts an into mark and says Ati Tita. Swami adds in Telugu, see, which means Atita, that which is beyond. And she is confused because that handwriting, the way in which Swami writes the is little different, and he puts it like there are three or four bundis we call the circles. Swami puts four circles to ta. So it's the same pattern is followed. And then next day she comes to Swami and Swami says it is not only Sarva Devata, all it's not only the embodiment of all forms, but plus Atita and also that which is beyond. And that is this. Swami tells that that is this Sai, that is this avatar.
So
And
it will be like Om Shri Sarvatita
yes, Om Shri Sai Sarva,
Sarvatita Namah. Okay.
Sarva Devatati. So, wherever it gets referred, Swami is always being referred as Sarva Devatati Swarupa Bhagwan Shri Sai Baba. And another occasion, Swami spoke about in Kodai, brothers was one of the brother was talking about the feet, and he says it is. He was also in that poetic flow and say, and he was explaining that these were the feet of Rama, these were the feet of Buddha, these were the feet of Jesus. He was expecting Swami to be quite satisfied, quite happy, and but on the contrary, Swami looked at him. There was that uh, contortion on Swami's face, and Swami said, "Hey, shut up, sit down." Boy was standing, and the entire the gathering was a bit taken aback as to why Swami was upset. Swami told him, "So what do you know? Have you seen Rama? Have you seen Buddha? Have you seen Jesus? But what do you know about these feet? You're talking about these feet." Swami then shows his palm and says, "This palm has created Trimurti. So the Trimurti have come from this palm." And Swami then just kept quiet. That silence spoke what he meant. Said it's not just what we know, but what we do not know also is that Lord.
It's fantastic. This thought is amazing. You know, when we talk about this knowledge, uh, there's some little diversion again, and there was a thought about like when we describe trigunas and trimurtis, we always relate Shiva to tamas, and tamas is darkness. So some people had asked this question before that why, that how can God be tamasic, negative? So that is a kind of the feeling comes into it, and why Shiva is related with darkness. So we have to understand. When I think about these thoughts, I realize that what we call darkness in our understanding is our ignorance. See, what I have not seen, I say it is not there or I don't know, and that is my ignorance. So when there is a huge darkness, that means that is my huge ignorance. So our knowledge is like a torch bulb. We flash it in the darkness. So the spot in which the light falls, we think that is knowledge. But we don't acknowledge, or we fail to acknowledge that that also shows my ignorance of how little I know about the vastness. So what we say as a black hole in the space contains Milky Ways inside. But from our eyes, it looks like a small little black hole. So when we talk about Shiva as darkness, is actually because it's so infinite that it is darkness for me. It is my ignorance which makes me see as Shiva as that. And whenever Lord says, "Here is Trimurti coming out," so you can imagine what darkness he's talking about. So, so it is totally mind-boggling when you think about it, that the whole concept is reversed the moment we start, venturing into this comprehension that my God, Even though we know about the expansive universe, it is not even a dot in the creation. So
Absolutely.
whatever bit we know as a humanity, the science of humanity, it is still not even a dot in the majesty of the creation. And yet the creator chooses to come and play with and interact with us. And that is what is fascinating.
Absolutely. In
So when
fact,
we look at this, sorry, please, Raju.
no, no, go on, go on. I was just adding to what you're saying. In fact,
Hmm.
even right now, if you look at the recent explanation of the matter and antimatter and what we know, it is not that you and me are saying this. It is the renowned scientists of the CERN lab of Harvard. They are saying this, that if all that if you have to put together everything, they say what we know is 1%, what we do not know is 5%, what we can't even understand is 95%, and that is antimatter. And it's not me who is saying it, is in fact a very famous interview of the Harvard professor who also worked with the CERN lab, and he goes on to explain. He says, I remember one Swami mentioning it, and one of the brothers in the Center of Human Values also was talking about it. He said, Swami spoke about Sat, Sat being that supreme, and this brother was awed. And he later, when I asked him as to why was he so awed with this explanation, he told me, I've heard uh, great sages who have been blessed by Swami in various ways, they mentioned that this entire universe is just a speck in that Sat. I thought it's just an exaggeration. I thought it's a poetic exaggeration. How can this entire universe be a speck? But that is my ignorance, as you said. I chanced upon this interview of this Harvard professor where she talks about the current belief that the entire Big Bang that we're talking about is actually emerged from that dot. And she says our current understanding of the physics says that that is one dot, and there are like those dots there might be millions or trillions. So she says this dot, she exactly uses the phrase. She says this dot might be the speck in that supreme thing which we don't even understand. This is a perfect correlation to what Swami said, that Sat is so supreme that you can't even uh, comprehend as to how magnanimous, as to how infinite it is.
See, when Bhagwan explained the whole concept about the whole Omkar and Ved, and he also gave us a very beautiful correlation as to how that same knowledge base, enacts into the four brothers of Ramayana, and
Yes.
Rama, Lakshman, Bharat, and Shatrughan, how they represent and how they depict or live the essence of these Veds, and then they become so. So, would you like to share that part, Raju? That will be
Yes, but
nice.
this is exactly like where we were leading to. As we just spoke about, there is that supreme truth, that Sat, and that is being viewed by someone. And when that experience of viewing, when that experience of seeing that supreme existence or supremeness, if I have to use a word, that experience flows itself as expression. And our mantra is nothing but the expression of that supreme experience. It is in some sense the summary of that truth, of that supreme state. And once this mantra comes out, so that expression gets called as mantra. And now Rigveda is nothing but the collection of that mantra. So, in some sense, that supreme divine Sat or truth or the supremeness is visible through these mantras, which is the mantras. And now these mantras are practiced by various sages and saints too, because these mantras are used as a means to understand that Sat. Now these mantras are used in the form of sacrifices, or used in the form of daily worship. And this, and going forward, these mantras also become part of culture, part of the way we live. So they become songs, they become sung with bhava, raga and tala. And at a later stage, these mantras become part of life, where you live, you reproduce, you fight, you die through these mantras. So what we are essentially talking about is that supreme Sat gets translated into mantras, and that mantra, the collection of those mantras, is Rig Veda. Now, the practice of those mantras in the form of sacrifices is Yajurveda. Now, the exposition of the glory of these mantras, adding bhava, raga, and tala to those mantras in the form of music, extolling the supreme Sat, is Samaveda. And Atharva Veda is nothing but the practical application of these mantras in day-to-day living. And Swami says, if you look at these four brothers, Rama, Lakshmana, Bharata, Shatrughna, they are these. Rama is the reflection of that Sat. You know, he in fact is Sat, but since he embodies in a form, he takes a body in the form, it becomes a reflection because this body has to go away. Swami beautifully explains in the discourse. He says, "This the minute that entity comes with the name, it says namamu rupamu, with the name and form. It becomes a reflection. It becomes a an embodiment, but it is not yes, the complete essence, yes, is within that. Rama is that Sat, or that Rigveda. And Lakshmana, who looks up to Rama, who practices, who tries to understand what Rama spoke on various occasions, the words of Rama, the actions of Rama, is analyzed and interpreted and practiced upon by his brother Lakshmana. Bharata, he loves Rama. He cannot, stand a minute without Rama. He tries to emulate Rama in every sense, and he sings his glory in the sense he is far away from the city life. He goes and stays outside Nandigrama, and even when Rama comes back as the full-time king, he remains as a as more like an AD, as more like a advisor to Rama, and never takes up the direct responsibilities of administration. Bharata is lost in singing the glory of Rama in some sense. His life is an exposition of Rama's greatness. And Shatrugna is the one who implements every command of Rama dutifully. He is the one who goes and fights off the enemies. He is the one who goes and ensures that the spies are well placed. He is the one who goes and threatens the kingdoms when they try to take over. Uh, and he's the one who ensures that there is law and order in the kingdom. He literally lives this mantra on day-to-day basis. So he is Shatrugna. So in some sense, the four brothers are Rigveda, Yajurveda, Samaveda, Atharvanaveda, or Rama, Lakshmana, Bharata, Shatrugna. Four brothers
See,
in four
I
Vedas.
love I really admire and really adore Bhagwan's presentation of, Atma Ramayan, if I may say it so, that everything he looks at it and he takes it and puts it in such a beautiful perspective, which heads directly to the goal and the aim of our life. So here, as we know, Rig Veda talks about the I-ness, the self. Rigveda is full of that, which talks about the self, the Atman, the me concept, I concept, and that is Rigveda, and which he correlated very beautifully with Ram, which he represented. And Yajurveda actually is an exposition on Rigveda, so it is like hand in gloves. So Yajurveda is actually talking about the whole how the Rig Veda is explaining things and how to look at it in a practical sense. And Samveda, if you look at it from that perspective, it is an aesthetic way of, right, Raju, if I may say so,
Yes.
aesthetic expression of the Rig Veda. So it is like that, the adoration of Rig Veda. And that is what you are explaining, that Bharat was adoring and singing the glory of Lord, because Samveda is the adoration part of it, which is aesthetically presenting what the truth is. And Atharva Veda is the implementation program. How to achieve all of that is Atharvaveda. So you want to do this activity, there are 10 steps. You want to do this project, these are 5 steps. That is Atharvaveda. So if you look at Shatrugana manages the kingdom in the name of Ram and Bharat, that is how it is. So Bhagwan has very beautifully presented these 4 brothers, and he said they are representative of 4 Vedas. And as we have discussed in earlier sessions about Omkar, we realize this whole 4 Vedas is nothing but an extraction from the Om. So it's a complete knowledge base. So the same supreme consciousness as a knowledge base is personified physically in a body through Ram, Lakshman, Bharat, and Shatrughan. Now let us jump, Raju, to our Satyasai in a beautiful comparison of what does Sai represent. And I was you mentioned, and then I happened to, as Bhagwan would will it, I just heard a nice discourse of Swami, in which he himself is describing about his relationship with Ved. How does it represent? So take it on, Sai. Please explain, Raju, for everybody's benefit.
Yes, brother. So, like I remember once Swami uh, was very in a light-hearted manner. He was talking to Anil Kumar sir on the third block. So he just finished his interviews, and Swami wanted to spend time with the students. So he came out and he was speaking to Anil Kumar sir, and then uh, uh, the professors, especially person like Anil Kumar sir, could take that liberty with Swami. And Swami was in a flow of describing about various avatars. And then I remember he asked one very interesting question. He said, Swami, you have come onto this earth so many times. I mean, as avatar, so many yugas, so many times. What is it that you have always brought with you? Swami, without hesitation, without pausing, he said, Vedas have always been with me. Veda leppudu na mente unna. These Vedas
Hey,
have been
lovely.
have part of his avataric expositions every time. Now, if you look at, I mean, that time it did not make sense. And Swami also, he is a great teacher. He capsules the message in such a way that it blossoms in your heart, in your mind, only when you are ready. He spoke in such a way that as if he was imitating the professor. So all of us that time to those immature minds it appeared just like a joke. But as we contemplate more and more, it becomes very clear. If you look at every residence, supposedly the official residence of Swami, where he lived, all of them are named by Vedas. Trayi is the three Vedas. Yajur Mandir, it is Veda. Shruti, Sai Shruti in Kodaikanal, it is Veda. Nothing but, and Swami says that it has been part of it. Now, Swami in the discourse explains it is not only there in the residence, but it is part of his name also. When he says Satya Sai, Swami says Sat, that which you are talking about, Sat, which we still not spoke about, is that Rigveda, that is Sat. And Ya, in that Ya, Satya, that Ya is Yajurved. Sa is Samaved. Sai I A, that is Atharvana Veda.
Acha.
Satya Sai. So this is nothing but the combination of 4 Vedas again. Now that time 4 Vedas have come as 4 brothers. This time the 4 Vedas have come as one entity called Satya Sai.
Satya Sai. Beautiful. See, he represented the truth, he lived by it, he explained that truth as Yajurveda, he sang it, he aesthetically depicted it, he portrayed, like you said, in the houses, in buildings, in all his architectural, in his working style, he represented Sama, and then he gave us the instructions in a clear cut manner how to do things in every aspect of life. Atharvan. His life itself is Ved.
Yes.
We don't have to even read discourses to an extent. If only we can study his life, that itself is knowledge. If you read his discourses, then it is a different level altogether. But here it is like Lord who is just by listening to him, his stories, we reach that stage of, I would say, I don't know what we can call it. It's phenomenal. I'm so like full of an excitement about hearing these things. And how beautiful it is that when Swami explains these things in such a way. But thanks to Anil Kumar, Professor Anil Kumar, for asking such a beautiful question to Bhagwan. That's an inspiration again.
Yes, in fact, it is he who prompts and he who elicits those
Yes.
questions from people and acts as if he is answering them.
So next, Raju, there is a very interesting when Bhagwan explains again, even though we are drawing lessons from all these aspects of Ramayana, and we can see so much learning, so much of knowledge in each aspect. But Bhagwan also summarizes, and he says you can learn two lessons primarily from Ramayana, and that is the first lesson is the value of detachment, and the second is the all pervasiveness of divinity. So, Raju, please share your
Yes,
thoughts on these two.
yes, brother. In fact, as you're mentioning earlier, in the earlier talks, Swami, if there is one thing that we can learn from the Lord, is that perfect sense of detached attachment. When he is doing the work, he is fully immersed into it. He acts as if he cannot live without it. But when the time comes, he leaves it as if it has never been a part of his life. If this was Swami, similar would have been the case with Sri Rama. Even look at the way in which there is a description which talks about how Rama spent days together. Of the 5 days, how Rama could not wait even few minutes without hearing an update from Nala. Nala was part of Rama's the closest circle for those 5 days. He was like the breath of Rama, the apple, Rama's blue-eyed boy. And at another point in Ramayana, we come across Nala crying, saying that it has been years since Rama spoke to me. Those 5 days, Rama and Nala were like the two magnets. And now, when the time is ripe, that was what Nala deserved, and Rama moves on. Rama is like that, as Swami explains in to one of our senior brothers, is like it's a massive river that flows. The river, when it takes a bend, it touches a tree once, it touches a boulder once, it touches an animal. When if it is crossing, it cleanses the animal. If the women though we are washing their clothes, if the women though we are washing their clothes, it cleanses those clothes. But the river moves on; it is not attached to anything. And says this avatar is also like that. Whoever comes into it gets cleansed. It is not attached. It moves on. There's only one thing that is certain with the avatar is it moves on. It is a magnanimous river and magnificent river. I'm sure, brother, from your times also, you must have seen many of these episodes from Lord's life. Be great if you can.
Swami, I think detachment from Bhagwan, it is so scary, if I may say it so, because on one moment he will be just you and you alone. You are everything. He'll not do anything without you, and the next moment you are nobody. You're gone. And this detachment and the ability to let go is also an attribute of divine, I would say, because as a human, I don't think it is even possible for us to be that detached while being attached. And whenever little interactions of questions have happened to Bhagwan, what I gathered from him was that he wasn't doing it consciously. That was his nature. And why do I say that? Is because when he was attached, what we call attached, it was actually just showing the concern for that part of him which was required. Like, suppose I want to eat food, then I will look at my teeth and all that is fine. So I can't say I'm attached to my teeth, so I'm looking like that. I'm brushing my teeth, so I'm attached to my teeth. Well, for that moment of brushing my teeth, the teeth requires attention. The teeth requires care. So I give that treatment to the teeth. At that time, I don't look at my feet probably. But when it comes to walking and doing things, I may look at the feet, not my teeth. So the attention of the being can move from one part to another depending on the activity that the self wishes to do or engage into. But that certainly does not mean that he's attached to that or detached from others. So when I look at Bhagwan, I really realize that he was neither attached nor detached because it was his being. I am part of him. So whether he talks to me or not, it does not make him attached or detached from me. It is just that am I being that being as a part, as an instrument in his hands or in his being, am I having that role at that point of time or not? If not, then he may not give a conscious effort. Like I will not touch my eyes every time. But if I am waking up in the morning, I want to splash water in my eyes. So I am giving attention to my eyes. It doesn't mean I'm attached to my eyes or I'm detached from my eyes. Eyes is me. I'm part of this is part of me. So for him, because he looked at the whole world, whole cosmos, whole creation as an extension of himself, as his being, so it that's why he was never attached nor detached. But we could feel the attachment and detachment because of our own separation from him, because we were not aligned with him in that manner. So if a hand is not used and I start nail starts feeling that, oh, he's detached from me or I am separate from him, that is so foolish a thought because I'm still part of the being. And this is the concept which keeps coming to me, that how I am attached to him and how I am detached from him. So I can never be detached. That's why you must have heard Swami say, when somebody says, Swami, I'll go. He said, go. Where can you go? how
Right.
can you go? How can you go beyond my reach? It's not possible. Because wherever you go, I said, I'm going to Canada. And he said, go. I said, Swami, it's too far. He said, no, next door. So for him, Canada is like here. Because for him, it is nothing is far. So his look at his concept is very unique. And we find it amazing or we find it little awe because we are not looking at from a Dvaitic perspective. We are not looking at it from that with his perspective. For him, you and me or this computer or this table is not different from him. I could be a strand on his being, a hair strand on his being. I don't know which part of hair strand. If I'm a hair of the head, probably he'll be brushing me like this once in a while. But if I'm a hair strand in his back here, then he may not even touch me a whole life. You understand? So I find it. So can this hair strand say I'm not part of him? I am. But it is where you are, how you are placed, that makes a difference. So when you raise this point of attachment, detachment, Bhagwan was an amazing example of that.
Absolutely.
And he could, like we all know that, right? He will start a project, say hospital, he'll be head on in the hospital. Everything is hospital. Even the boys are running for hospital, they are training, getting hospital, everything is hospital. And once he inaugurates, the next minute he's gone. He as if hospital didn't exist for him. He just cuts himself off and looks at something else. So his ability to detach was amazing. He would start a course, and MBA started. He was only MBA, as if college didn't exist. Only MBA existed. The MBA course, the MBA syllabus, the MBA students, MBA's tour, their field work, everything was MBA. And once it got stabilized, he washed his hand, finished. And it is part of the system. But can we say he's attached or detached? That would be our limited understanding of it. I don't know
Beautiful.
if Lord Ram himself showed that. So what do you think about Raju that? About Lord
Absolutely.
Ram's perspective on that?
What we are essentially trying to draw is, if this form acted in this manner, I'm sure he would not have acted different in that form
That is true.
because it is his nature, and that has been the case. Like if we read Ramayana very closely, very carefully, you look at, Bharata is moving to the forest with his retinue to find Rama, and there is a beautiful description in Valmiki Ramayana where Bharata and Shatrughna and the royal retinue comes across along with Guha. They come across to that tree under which Rama slept that night, the previous night, or 2 nights ago, whatever, 3 nights ago, Rama slept there, and that grass and also the fruits that he ate were all there. Bharata is looking at that grass and that those fruits and he's crying. He says, that Rama, who has been an emperor, and a princess, is kind of lying here. He's eating those fruits. And Guha says, "Why are you so worried? It is Rama. It's a blessing that each of these have got. So let's move on." And then he goes on. Then he finds Rama's footsteps somewhere, and when Rama finally meets Bharata, there is for few minutes there is that emotional uh, interaction, and then the entire question and answer sessions of Bharata ruling kingdom, etc., happen. But the point is, Rama's emotion is very limited. It is only limited to seeing Bharata. It is only limited to hearing about Dasharatha's loss. It is limited to warning Bharata as to how, rather instructing Bharata as to how he should behave. It is to an extent comes out as anger when he kind of flays Jabali. But after that, it's over with Bharata. When he says, "Go back," when he gives his sandals, and Bharata is trying to tell Rama that, "I saw that place where you slept." Rama does not give attention to it. Past is past. Done. Done with it. And when the time is up, Valmiki very beautifully puts, I'm sure people who have lived with Swami, people who have seen Swami closely, they can easily get this essence of what Valmiki is conveying. He says, as the sandals were given, Rama gets up, and it is understood that the meeting is over and Bharata has to
Oh,
walk. Exactly like the way Swami gets up after the interview. And we know Swami has not said interview is over, but we know the interview is over. We know that we have to go up and stand near interview room door and he will open the door and you have to walk out. It is a clear message. Rama gets up and he looks at Sita. That is it. That's a message to Bharata, Shatrughna that it is done and dusted. They have to walk out now. Rama is not going to budge. And same way, if you look at that Rama who has fought for Sita for so many days, he has taken so many monkeys, he has taken so many bears, crossed the ocean. When she comes out and he is seeing her for the first time after those 8 or 9 months, and he tells her, he does not cry, he does not smile, he is stoic faced. He says, "Get yourself tested in the fire." Yes, there is a divine reason for it. But at a physical level, look at that complete detachment. He 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 is he is a principle based. If there is one thing that attracts Rama, it is only principles and nothing else. And the same is the case with other monkeys. All the monkeys, they hold Rama and they say that, "Rama, we have been with you together for all these days, we cannot live without you, Rama." I'm talking from Vasishta's Ramayana, Valmiki's Ramayana, where Rama tells them, "It is over, the war is over, now you have to go back. Your studies are over, you have to go back to your places." Only the selected are chosen to be with him, and then they go to Ayodhya. Even when Vibhishana is returning after the coronation of Rama, he says, "I have to carry something, give me something that you can that you alone can give." Rama tells him, Rama embraces him and then gives him that Narayana statue where Narayana is sleeping. And that it's a different story. It gets actually kind of placed in the midpoint, the exactly midpoint from where Vishnu and Rama lives, and that comes out to be the current Srirangam. So, point is, Rama gives the statue, and now Vibhishana, the chariots are moving. Rama smiles, and then Rama walks away. That's it. He turns behind and walks away. Vibhishana is Valmiki does not say it, but we can understand as to what he was meaning. Vibhishana is a bit surprised that, "Arre, this is the man who stood with me, who cried with me, who embraced me. Now he just waved goodbye, he smiled, and he turned away." That's it. Vibhishana, for that role, Vibhishana has come to an end. Now Vibhishana has to walk back to Lanka. And that has been the case with every character of Ramayana. When
In
they have to,
fact, uh, in fact,
they have
Raju, when coronation happens, the whole city is getting decorated. He is getting ready. Everything is set, and at the last minute, when
right,
he's told, it's actually literally 11th hour,
absolutely,
and Bhagwan explains it very beautifully. He doesn't even hear it because Dashrath never passes a command. So he goes and looks at his father, and he knows there is something wrong from a physical perspective. And then the mother says so. And with the same equanimity, he gets up and says, "That's it. Okay." And he walks out.
absolutely,
And that is an amazing detachment. And I was actually fascinated that not only Ram, but how everybody else also followed through. Like when Sita sees Ram coming, she says she's not expecting him. This is not the time for Ram to come. So if he is coming, there is something missing. So Sita also has a sukshma buddhi. Bhagwan explains it very sweetly that Sita judges it very well that Ram has some other issues. There is something happened. And when Ram tells, Sita also gets up in very natural manner and says, "I'm coming." It is so very organic they are showing that how Lakshman also jumps out, how everybody. So there is nobody showing an aspect of attachment in this Ramayana journey.
absolutely, brother.
And
In fact,
those people who have not shown attachment are with Lord. And those who have shown attachment, they are off the rod.
beautiful,
In
beautiful.
fact, Bhagwan explained it very beautifully. We'll discuss this later on when the right time comes. He says Sita also, in a physical term, showed attachment towards the golden deer. And that thought was the reason for her to move away from the physical presence of the Lord. So imagine an excuse also is like that. So detachment is a huge element to be in and around Bhagwan. So if you want to be close to God, this is what we learn from Swami, that one has to learn to be detached from everything except him because he is not different from us. So we are not being attached to him, we are attached to our own self. That's it. And for rest everything else, it's an amazing relationship. So, more and more you dwell into it, you see a new way of living, new way of thinking, and how Lord Ram has depicted that. But Raju, how will you talk about this second aspect, all pervasiveness of divinity? See, from
There,
Bhagwan's perspective, it is very beautiful because Swami drilled it in us, right?
yeah. I think the same would have been the case even with what we're essentially trying to do is take the life of the Lord that we have seen and try to extrapolate to the life of the Lord.
Like a
What
lot. With
we,
the story told by Bhagwan, yes.
yes, exactly, exactly. So if you look at Rama, if you look at our Sai Rama, the essence of every discourse, if you have to parse this discourse in an artificial AI based system and ask it to promote one message, invariably out of those 3500 3600 discourses one message comes out in every discourse is you are God, you are God. There is no difference between God and you are the supreme reality. And fortunately it is captured because Swami allowed it to be captured. Is the technology has come up where it is captured in some form or the other, which the generation after generation can view. And similar, I think, would have been the case even with Sri Ramachandra. Just that it does not, probably we have lost the link somewhere. It would have been captured in some form or the other. But right from that discussion where uh, the brothers lock themselves in the room and Rama tells them, when Rama goes around the country and he comes back, and that phase of Rama begins where the avatar, the Daiva Prajna is slowly taking over from the Jiva Prajna, and he locks himself in the room, and the discourse was only that all of us are just one being. And when Dasharatha comes and says, "Come out," Rama says, "Where is it that I should come? Because I am there everywhere." and Dasharatha is confused. Then he goes and gets our
Can you
Vasishtha.
imagine? Can you imagine saying somebody, please come? He says, where should I come? Where am I not? Imagine the
Yes,
father would go confused. That's why it same thing happened with Swami also, right? When his
absolutely.
parents and his brother, everybody started thinking that he's possessed because he's talking something weird. So it is very natural progression with all the avatars like that, right?
Yes,
But see,
brother.
like Bhagwan, Raju, I would kind of little deviate that, because Swami's thing is, as you rightly said, we have enough documentation. Like when Bhagwan started preaching, he talked about, divinity. When he asked Swami, "Are you God?" He said, "Not only me, you are also God." So there are a lot of depiction. Even our university, the monologue, which the logo which is kept, and the first discourse is pasted on website also. It is that this university is not open for degrees to be used as begging bowls, but to realize your own innate divinity. So these are the things which we have heard so many times. We have seen Bhagwan talk about it, and we have seen how every evening Bhagwan would take any topic and turn it towards Atman, self realization, divinity. But when I look at Rama's life, and today when we are exploring this, Raju, I find that Lord Ram also has done the same thing. The
Yes, brother.
only unfortunate part which I feel is that while describing Ramayana, we are
Hmm.
more entangled or lost in the story part of Ramayana than the message of Rama. Because if I read Ramayana, even Tulsi Ramayana carefully and Swami's, you find that Lord Ram has been preaching all his life.
Yeah, correct.
Like Bhagwan said, no, I have a one phase of life in which I am going to do pravachan, and he spoke
Yes,
about everything in the on the under the sun. Lord Ram, at the age of 14, when he had that Vishisht Gita, as we call it, Rama Gita, we call it. From that illustration, when he starts really deliberating about his only message was that you are God, I am God, everything is God. So that is from he started, and then all through his 14 years, he was preaching. Everywhere where he stopped, like Guha or Panchavati or even anywhere, there is a very clear description that every evening the whole Vanvasis, all the forest dwellers would land up in ashram of Ram, and Lord Ram would give discourse. I am just visualizing Puttaparthi. Like all the
absolutely.
day's hard work, you land up in Mandir, and evening Lord would come and give a talk, or make a presentation, or he will stand up in front of you and crack jokes. But in all his talks and interactions, the undercurrent of message was that you are God, all pervasiveness of the divinity. Unfortunately, from Rama's point of view, all the commentators, I would request that people should look at those aspects more and deliberate on it. Let us talk about that, what Ram has spoken, what Ram has lived, rather than getting lost in the nuances of the story of Ramayana. The story of Ramayana is very important, no doubt about it. But the message of Ram is more important, I feel, which unfortunately is not given its due respect and attention. What do you think?
Absolutely. Yes, perfect. It's a beautiful point that you mentioned. That unfortunately, as Valmiki, it becomes very clear as to why Valmiki himself says that that the shloka comes from shoka, and he hints at a poet writing the story of Rama. So when Valmiki says it, he also is cautioning us very carefully that, boss, I am a poet. I am writing what I have imagined in my mind, what I have seen in my mind. But this is not the entire story of Rama. There is much more that is left out. And when Swami says, I very clearly remember where Swami was talking about in one of the sessions, Swami was talking about Rama's visit to Shabari, and all across the books we read that Rama spent a few minutes with Shabari. But I remember Swami, the way in which Swami narrated, it felt as if Rama spent long time with Shabari, explaining her about her sadhana, about her methodologies, etc. I was left wondering as to what did actually transpire. All that we know is that Rama took those berries which were half eaten, and what we read is he was quite happy with Shabari, blessed her, and then Shabari guided him to the next phase of meeting Sugriva, and Shabari passed away, which should not have taken more than half an hour, 45 minutes, or 1 hour. But Swami him saying that almost an entire evening was spent with Shabari, in which Rama spoke about our life. Now as you put those words, it becomes quite clear. Probably Rama would have done the same thing like the way Swami did to that yogi, to that Maharshi. I'm sorry, I'm not getting his recollecting his name, but he had done his tapas at the age of 8. Then he comes and stays with at the age of
That
20.
Ganeshas, whom we showed the golden Ganesha.
Yeah, he comes and stays with Kasturi Garu, and one day Swami shows him the form of Ganesha as a reward for the tapas that he had done at the age of 8. What Rama would have done to Shabari is something exactly similar. If you look at the ages of Shabari, is like that this old man, this old sage of the current times who came to Swami. Swami was 35, 40, and this old man was like 80. When this old man was 80 years, the physical frame of the Lord was not existent. When this Shabari came to Matanga for the first time at the age of 12 or 13, Rama would not have, that physical form of Rama would not have been even born. Rama is talking to Shabari of 80, 85 years of age, and he's talking about how her penance to Matanga, her discipline to Matanga, that rewarded, and how Matanga blessed her to be uh, disciplined in her way of life, and how Rama has been observing all that. I remember in after one of the speeches, after our VC conference, Swami made a beautiful comment to one of my classmates. He said, I have been watching I remember Swami was telling him that I saw you practicing under the street light, and I have been watching you all the while, which essentially was saying that he has been that eternal witness. And something similar Rama tells our lady also, Chebari, that I have been watching you all over. Where, when he says, I have been watching you all over, what is that I that Rama is referring to? Rama is not in existent in that body. Same is the case with Vibhishana. When Hanuman comes and says, Lord, there is one unique fellow in that Lanka who is chanting Hari's name. Rama says, I know. I have seen it. Like for a moment, everybody have been stunned. "Arre, We are hearing, we are hearing about Lanka for the first time, and in that we are hearing about someone devoted to Rama for the first time, and he says, "I have seen it." We can imagine the expression of all those vanaras around Rama. It would have been something very similar to all of many of previous expressions when Swami says, "I know, I have seen it." I very clearly remember in Kodai when one senior cine artist, the playback singer, when she was talking about another legends, the Ghantasala Gar's death, she was saying about how Ghantasala Gar passed away, and somebody made that unique comment. Like, because I cannot forget that reaction of everybody around. Some said that yes, I was there, I've seen it, and this speaker in her excitement, she said, "But Swami, that day you were in Chennai. I was the one who sent you message." Swami said, you then she realized that, oh my god, whom am I speaking to? Say Swami Chimichandi, like apologies. Swami gave us my Swami said, yes, I was there with him. I was there with him. And Swami also said what were his feelings that he could not express during those moments. And what I'm referring to is
That's right.
for that few minutes that stumped.
I agree. I totally agree with you. You know, even that Ahilya's part, when
Right,
Lord comes to Ahilya, Bhagwan has explained it very beautifully. Even Valmiki Ramayana also has a very beautiful explanation. There is a huge discussion happens.
right.
When Rama blesses her, he tells her everything, and then he gives her consolation and all that. And then it seems her son also comes. Her
Oh,
son
okay,
is a preceptor in Janakpuri.
okay,
He
okay.
also comes. His husband appears because he's a rishi. He gets into an intuition. He knows how Lord has come. He comes. So it seems the whole gathering settles down there, and then Lord gives another discourse to them. It's like
Wow.
an interview. He gives a family interview. he reunites all of them, and he talks about life, he talks about explanation, he says whatever happened, and then he goes. So that was the first introduction of Ram to his son also, Valmiki, this Ahilya's son. So it is a very beautiful thing that in Ramayana there are many occasions where it is documented that Lord has given explanations. Lord Rama has shared this all pervasive divinity aspect. But unfortunately, it has not been given that kind of due importance. So, in the normal discourses, in the normal discussions, we do not get to hear the real words of Ram. We don't get to discuss about what Lord Ram has taught us. We are
Yes,
more
brother.
entwined with the story of it. Ram went to Ahilya, he touched his leg, and so all that is there. But how it happened and what he told about it, and as you rightly said, because we have had the blessing of seeing the Lord, so we are in a position to at least put a perspective to it and understand, hey, it must be similar, because this is how the nature of an avatar is. So
Right.
avatar has to do that. It is the nature of Lord. He will not leave a devotee half hanging. He will explain. And he does that. And he does it in his unique manner. I love that point when you mentioned the way he gets up, we know that it's over. We have to move. So there is no discussion. He doesn't announce that, okay, interview is over. He'll just get up. And the way he gets up, we know it's done. And
Right.
if he's getting up, not going out, he's going to do something else, that also we know
Yes,
that his getting up is
exactly.
not over. So it is a very unique relationship with Lord and his devotees, that how every action of Lord used to convey a story for all of us. That's
And
amazing. Eh?
and one more point is, just to add to what you're saying, is we all know that the bondage between the sorry bond between Rama and Hanuman is very deep, but no, we take it for granted through our imagination that it just probably would have formed instantly, but that got sealed, that got solidified with those 3.5 months that Rama spent in the cave with Lakshmana. And Rama goes to Sugriva, he kills Vali, and Sugriva gets coronated as the king. Now, as he gets coronated, very clearly we read in Valmiki, and also Swami explains that the monsoon season starts and the rain started battering. So three
Hmm.
and a half years, sorry, 3.5 months, Rama ends up staying in that cave along with Lakshmana. Now, this is the detail. Now, if you take this detail and connect it to one more detail where during the war, Hanuman and Lakshmana are talking, and Lakshmana is reliving those memories with Hanuman, where he says, "How beautiful was the time, were the time that we spent together in that cave." So Hanuman was essentially serving Rama all those 3.5 months. He would go and clean that cave. He would bring food every day, and that is when the deep bondage. That is when Rama revealed his depth of philosophy, his understanding. I mean, that is when Hanuman realized that, my God, yeah, I for the first time I have realized that this is not a normal human, but now I am able to know why he is not a human, why he is the Lord Himself. And those 3.5 months sealed the bonding between Hanuman and Rama. I remember one of the senior devotees who had asked this question to Swami, and Swami did not explain, but it just kind of becomes clear to me now as we explain that. Said Swami, if everything was perfect with Rama, everything was perfect with Rama, why did Rama choose to go and kill Vali at a time when the rainy season would begin? He no, why did the events conspire like that? If you take this question and add it to the explanation that Swami gives, the one of the prime reason that avatar comes is to bless devotees with the physical, with the sweetness of the physical form, with the proximity to his devotees. Those 3.5 months were actually the blessing to that Kishkinda community, especially to our heroes called Hanuman and others, the generals of Sugriva. They were given the divine proximity for 3.5 months, and Rama told them all that was needed to be told. Why is it? Because it's not natural that Swami, in another discourse, Swami talks about this entire millions of monkeys moving on the bridge, and Swami, it seems it is night, it's the dusk, and they settle down on those rocks. Swami talks in this discourse. Swami says Rama and Lakshmana and Sugriva are sitting down. Rama is looking at the moon up in the sky, and one of the Vanara tells that Rama, that moon is like your face. He is like that. The moon that we see up there is that same moon. All is amongst us here. And Rama says, just like the brightness of the sun that reflects on the moon and comes on all of us, the the Atman, the brightness of the Atman is reflecting on all of us. and and Swami goes on to explain this. Such beautiful discussions went on the entire night, and they were left they did not feel any tiredness. What is Swami, apart from conveying the beauty of that scenario, is also saying that the discourses were a normal nature, discourse of that sort, and the entire Vanara community was actually looking forward for those sessions. I'm
I'm
sure.
telling you, it's a similar thing like we going to the darshan in the evening and
Exactly.
waiting for that interaction with Bhagwan. And many people would not even hear what Swami is saying, but
Hmm.
just by being there was enough. It was so satisfying to be there and watch him talk to first few, play with some, interact with some, walk between the lines. That was a joy. And now we can extrapolate to see that it must be the similar joy for all these vanaras who are sitting around and watching the Lord walk and talk to them. And those 3 months were amazing. Actually, there are many more instances where only, Lakshman and Ram were there. And
Right.
there also they describe that how Lakshman will finish off all his chores and come and sit to listen to Lord. So it is like I was thinking like a boy serving Swami in the room in Mandir, who were serving him inside. Probably they would have also finished their work and then they would sit there at his feet. Probably the Lord could say something or not say something. That interaction of that nature with Lakshman. That is amazing. Okay, let us jump into another area, which is the promises. If you recall, Raju,
Yes, brother.
every
Yeah.
avatar has certain obligations, if I may put it, and whatever they do it in a manner which not only serves the purpose but also gives a kind of an idealism, a kind of a leadership role and a role modeling which people can follow. So at every era, when Lord does something, he will pass the credit to somebody, but he'll make a pledge that, okay, I pledge to do this. He has decided it, but when he does a pledge, he makes, like in Satyasai Avatar, I can say that he gave all the credit to the mother. He said, my
Right.
mother said have hospital, so I'm having hospital. So, it's like such a magnanimous way of looking at life that nothing is mine. It is only because of mother's blessing that you are getting hospital, man. It is because of mother you're getting school and colleges. See, the poor Ishwarama was a very simpleton, loving mother. I don't think she even had a comprehension of what university would mean or what super speciality could mean. Her ambitions are very simple that they should study and they should have some health care. But look at what he gave. He gave the credit to her, but boom, what he delivered was beyond comprehension. So, but he does it in a very beautiful manner, and he presents it for us ordinary beings to take it as an example so that we can learn. So there are certain pledges. So I would like Raju you to look at that and see how Lord has explained the pledges.
Yes,
Even
in
Lord
fact,
Rama has taken pledges and Swami also. So please go ahead. Yeah,
right.
the promises,
So,
if I may say. Yeah.
yes, brother. In fact, like in one of the discourses, Swami says that these are the ones that the bindings on the either side of the massive flow of the river. Says like the beds that determine the course of the river. These, in some sense, they determine the actions of the avatar. And Rama's pledges are, in fact, very well known. They are part of folklore, they are part of stories, they are part of inspirational talks. Rama's pledges are very simple, very straightforward. He says, I use only one arrow. Once I aim something, it has to be destroyed. He does not pick up his bow simply like that, but once he picks it up, it is done. It has to be it has to be delivered. Swami, it is only Swami who can explain
Yeah.
these nuances.
Raju, please explain this one arrow more, because people should not think that Ram carried only one arrow. It was not that he carried only one arrow. It was like it is the bow that once he picks up, it has to finish the goal and come back. So
Right.
it
Yeah.
cannot be in vain. So please explain that part a little bit more
If
and give
we,
examples
if
for
we
that.
read Ramakatha Rasavahini closely, no, it does not, unlike other serials or other depictions where we see Rama kind of struggling to fight with Rakshasas, the description in Ramakatha Rasavahini is very different. And Lakshmana comes and tells Rama that I am finding it little difficult to fight with these fellows. Rama effortlessly gets up and says, "Okay, now let me get into the scene. You get the bow and arrow," and then there is jubilation all around. Even before he starts fighting, it is a well-known fact that if he is picking up the bow, it is done. And Swami goes on to explain that when Rama gets angry on the sea lord, that because he has not parted his ways, and he has not given also the explanation as to how the bridge can be built on the waves, Rama is quite upset. So Rama picks up the bow and he latches the arrow to it. That is when the sea lord, the Varuna, comes down, shivering and shaking, saying that Lord, forgive my sin. I have, I have underestimated whatever. And he says, he gives him the guidance whatever required, and he says, now please forgive me. Now Rama tells a very important line. He says, now I have strung the arrow to this bow. It cannot be left unattended. Where should I fire it? Everybody is a fix. Where should that is the determination. That is the vow that Rama has taken. Once he aims at doing something with that bow, it has to be delivered. It has to be done. And then it's also an excuse that Rama had to destroy a vana which was infested with lot of rakshasas, which is far away from the sea. And the sea lord plays that Rama, please, that vana is a cause of pain to humanity. Please destroy it. That's where Rama shoots, and the entire forest turns into a desert. And probably it is the Thar desert. We are not fully sure. There are folks.
We have to really do more research to figure out where did he shoot the arrow to. That yeah,
Exactly. So, in fact, that is the determination that if he picks up bow once, that is to achieve something, he will do it. When he decided to wage a war with Ravana, it is done. Ravana had to be eliminated. Whoever comes in the way, they will also be eliminated. That is one arrow, one wife. We are talking about a time where polygamy was the order of the day. Uh, to an extent that if you look at, for example, Svetaketu's life. Svetaketu in his childhood was quite upset because of one incident that happened in his life where the woman had, his mother. He goes to the market with his mother, and then the mother goes away with one more person in the market to spend her time with him. And Svetaketu comes to father and says he has gone away, and father says, yeah, that's the name of the day. He says, yeah, that's how it is. We are talking about those times. Svetaketu is also in those times of Rama. He is the cousin of Ashtavakra, who is, in fact, the one who gave realization to granted realization to Janaka. The point is about the social structure. If you look at, for example, Ravana, when Hanuman enters the chambers of Ravana, he says, Hanuman's leg starts paining. He says, my God, so many chambers filled with women. And all of them were of Ravana's different concerts. And look at, for example, Rama's own father, Sri Rama's own father, Dasratha. Having three wives was norm of the day. It was not wrong. Nothing odd. Or Vali taking over uh, Sugriva's wife. Yes, it is morally was not correct, but it was the norm of the day. Now, in that social structure, in under those circumstances, comes a unique being who says, "Come what may." I will have only one partner for my life. Even when that partner, we are not talking about these times, even when that partner is kidnapped by a ferocious, by a dreaded Rakshasa who stays thousands of kilometers away, and this young man who has no support in forest, who has no kingdom, who has no armies to fight, all that is left with is that single determination that once I have decided to do something, I will achieve it. And he has shown us how he achieved it. That personality decided that I will have only one partner in my life, come what may, and he lived with it. There were not that Rama did not have attractions right from the time being a princess after wedding Sita up to the point where Rama gets into Sarayu River. He had multiple times he had been proposed. People proposed him. The finest example was Shurpanaka. She was literally haunting Rama throughout. She comes to Rama and tells that please marry me, and that's when he disfigures her. Then she goes and enrages her brother. Then her brother is killed, Ravana is killed. Swami goes on to explain that Shurpanaka comes to Ayodhya, and now she connives, she conspires, she creates stories about Sita, and foolishly one of those dhobis blurts out this allegation, and Rama is so disturbed that he sends her away. That is when Shurpanaka goes and stands in front of the royal palace almost a daily basis, saying that at least now, and now you are anyway left without wife. At least now you invite me as your wife. And Rama does not budge. He goes on to
Raju,
stay.
Raju,
Yes,
you just mentioned a story of Shurpanakha, the Meenakshi.
yes,
Since you have mentioned it, I would like you to just highlight it slowly, because otherwise it will leave a question in the minds of people as to when did she conspire in Ayodhya. This happened after, much after
yes. Chapter.
the whole thing had happened. So if you can just give a brief about
Yes,
how
the
she comes to
Shurpanakha
Ayodhya.
was the sister of Ravana. Her original name was Meenakshi. Like the order of the day was that both men and women had the freedom of choice for their life partners. Like I just mentioned about Swetaketu's mother, she choosing her partner in the market. Now, in the similar fashion, Meenakshi finds Rama and Lakshmana handsome men in the forest. She wants to be with them. So she comes and says she tells Rama to marry her. We all of us know the story. Rama points her to Lakshmana, and Lakshmana points her again back to Rama. And Rama says, "Since I am married, I cannot marry you now." And then she feels that Sita is the reason, so she tries to harm Sita. That is when Rama understands that Rama kind of feels that is going out of control, and he indicates Lakshmana to disfigure her, and Lakshmana cuts off her nose and ears. And now this enraged Shurpanaka or Meenakshi, she goes and tells her brother that here I am, the one of the most beautiful princess of the land, going and proposing to this man, and he said disfigures me. The point she says is it is actually again is the Rakshas dharma. You have to fight for the dharma of Rakshasas. She's not saying that me, the sister. Now, Kara and Dushana feel it's an insult to Ravana's kingdom and also dharma of Rakshasas. They go and fight, but we know the story. They get eliminated with one arrow. Then she goes and complains to Ravana himself. And Ravana, to taunt Rama more, he says, "If you do this, this is what happens." So he kidnaps Rama's wife. We know the story, and then Rama ultimately kills Ravana, and he gets back Sita. Now Shurpanaka does not know what to do. Swami, we know, all of us know through the known Ramayana sources that the story till here only. But it is Swami who explains that this Shurpanaka now comes back to Ayodhya to stay as one of the citizens in Rama's kingdom. She is so consumed by Rama's form that she wants to be his consort at any cost. So she feels Sita is the obstacle. She realizes that Rama cannot be beaten through war. Rama cannot be beaten through force. So she has to conspire. So that is when she starts spreading rumors saying that I've been part of Ravana's retinue. I know how. She starts spreading rumors about Sita's character, and that reaches Rama's ears, and some of the citizens end up believing, and they in one of the fights one person alleges that Sita was a woman without character, and Rama, in the circumstances that he was, sends away the Sita. Now Rama is left without a wife. That is when Sirpanaka say feel that her plan has worked out, as conspiracy worked out, now at least Rama can invite her to be his concert. So she goes and offers herself every day, almost every day, in front of the palace, saying that I am ready, please invite me. But Rama does not budge. But one wife goes on to stay till the end of his life. One arrow, one wife, and one word. He says something, he he does it. One word that comes out of Rama's mouth is like the Veda Vaku. It has to be done. Brother, would you take over?
Okay. No,
You must have.
actually, yeah, you covered the one word. See, one word is obviously the final, right? Vachan.
Yes.
And it's a
And
very
now,
well-known proverb. Pran jaye par vachan na jaye. So even a life goes, but the word will not go. But here, if you look at our Swami's
right.
parlance, Bhagwan also gave actually three promises. And that is interesting to see. He said, once I accept a devotee, I'll never abandon him or her. It's a very beautiful promises which this Lord also has made. Now you can see that it is not an arrow business here in this Kali Yuga. So he has to fight in a different way. It is a transformational game rather than killing game. So look at his promises. They are very profound and they are very tough. He says, once I accept, and this acceptance is not something which can be taken lightly. And what Bhagwan explains in a very beautiful manner is that, once you give me your hand to me and I'll hold it, then even if you want to run away, I won't let you. So imagine what a protection. You just have to say once that, Lord, I'm yours. And after that, even if you say, I'm not yours, get off, he won't leave. So that is the promise he has given. Once I
Which,
accept a devotee, I will never abandon. Even if you want to abandon me, I will not. See, that is a very powerful promise. Yeah, you are saying something, Raju?
just to add, in fact, one of the professors puts it beautifully. Swami tells him, he says, this saying that I belong to you, Swami told him that even in dream state, even when you're dreaming in your dream, even if you tell me that I belong to you, done, you're mine. In wakeful state.
See how simple he has made it in Kali Yuga, because he knows we are so messed up. We can't do many more penance. So just once you have to say, Lord, I'm yours, and you are done forever. It is so beautiful. Once I accept a devotee, I will never abandon him or her. And then comes, I have not come to give. I've come to give, not to receive. And I'm sure most of us would have seen Bhagwan, do that. Do you recall, Raju, that when he would put his hand up and say, this hand is always like this, it
Yes,
is never
absolutely.
like this, right? He would
Yes.
always say that, I never raise my hand on asking. And then he would also say that, only time I can do this when it is for your love. Other than that, I never stretch my arms for anything. So it's a very powerful statement, because in all the other avatars, for the sake of formality, or for the sake of what should I say, social norms, they have done that. Rama has also gone as an alms when he got his Yajnapavid done. Krishna, so everybody has played a role in a way or other, but this avatar has never bowed down to anybody. Even recently, we had a very beautiful clip from Venkateshwara. Is the only person, Bhagwan, when he visited in 1950s, he says he in fact stayed at Venkateshwara idol, and he said, "I've come to recharge it." So it is not that he was blessing or bowing down to Venkateshwara. He said, "I've come to recharge this idol," and he walked. So it was very beautiful that you see and how an avatar functions, how an avatar performs his role. So, never come to give and never come to receive, only to give. And this is an amazing task of Lord. And I'll tell you, as a student also, we have, as an alumni, I would say, when we grow up and we think that probably we have become children have grown up, so we wanted to offer something to Bhagwan. And one day we made a robe for Bhagwan. You won't believe, like, it took us almost a week of dancing in front of him, you know trying to manipulate, trying to send the gift, trying to sit in the front. The more moment we'll sit with that box, which was camouflaged, he would change his route. He would not come near, and he kept avoiding. And ultimately, he said, "I don't want. I want only your love." And it became such a hassle that we realized that he was so firm on his promise that I have never come to receive but to give. When I will something for the welfare of the world, it will manifest come what may. I think this example, this promise of Bhagwan, we have seen it ample times. But what I want to highlight here is that not only his will, because I remember one day somebody said, "Swami, it is your will that hospitals have come, universities have come." And Bhagwan, with a very short pause, he said, "Nora, this is just my wish. I you prayed, I blessed." I said yes, and it happened. I only willed once, and the creation happened.
Wow.
So can you imagine the differentiation, the presentation of Bhagwan? He said, "I willed once, and the creation happened." So never underestimate the power of will of Lord. So will is not that you find Avatar doing every day. It is the finale. When he wills, it is ultimate. So he made a very beautiful statement that I will, and the manifestation happened, and the creation happened. These are all response to your prayers. This is not even, I won't even call it a wish in a way if you look at it. I would say that it is just a response to our prayer and our needs that the hospitals and all this happen. But there also he mentioned one thing. It is a sankalpa, he says. It is an avatar sankalp. Yes, I have to fulfill your promise. So it is not his will, it is his promise that, okay, you have prayed, I promise that I'll fulfill your promise, and the manifestation happened. And that manifestation could take a shape of a university or a super specialty hospital or a humongous water project. That is just to witness. So when I will something for the welfare of Lord, world, it will manifest. And we have seen how many obstacles when I'm sure this story is very well known to all the fraternity, that when he promised the super specialty hospital, the first one, Raju, I'm sure you all will recall, everybody in the organization was stunned because he announced a hospital which would probably cost a good sum of money, and there was no money in the trust. And people are wondering, like, Bhagwan, how did you make an announcement without planning, without knowing anything? And he announced that too, next year birthday I will inaugurate it. So imagine a super specialty hospital in a remote village of Puttaparthi in that era when there was not a proper road to Puttaparthi. If you recall, it used to take us almost 5 hours or so to come from Bangalore to Puttaparthi. At that time, Bhagwan making an announcement that in 1 year I'm going to open a super specialty hospital. And if you read Colonel Jogarao's account, he says 2 3 months had gone by and there was no activity happening. And Colonel Jogara was pacing up and down one day in a stress. And Bhagwan came and told him, "Colonel, Jogara, why are you stressed?" He said, "Bhagwan, you made an announcement, and I'm wondering 2 months have already gone by for a year, and we haven't even started." He said, "Who made the promise, Jogara?" And Jogara very humbly said, "Swami, you." Then he said, "Then who should be stressed, you or me?" So he said, "Do your duty, and I'll do my bit. I'll do whatever has to be. You continue doing your bit. So what is your duty as of today? Do that." And that is how Jogarao started working on the architects and all that. So 2 months had passed when nothing, like you mentioned, Ramayans. Rama was 3 months sitting in the cave because it was a monsoon season, and nothing happened. Can you imagine? You know your wife there, you know your destination, and still have the patience to sit quietly and do nothing, apparently nothing. And here Swami was doing something in the first 2 months, and everybody else was stressed that nothing is moving. But the time had not come, and then the time started. We all have witnessed it. In 1 year, exactly 1 year, the first operation happened in super speciality. So it's a phenomenal promise which Lord has made. When I will something for the welfare of the world, it will manifest. And let me add one more thing before Raju you can jump in, is that he has not only done it, he has even shown us that all that what he has done in his physical sojourn is humanly possible.
Yeah.
He has not acted as a divine while conducting the roles of human life. I'm daring to say this statement because whatever the avatar has done, it is humanly possible to do. And Bhagwan said it himself. He said, if you only can have the purity of thought, word, and deed, you can do exactly what I do. When somebody says, Swami, this is your divine power, he said, Hadra, for this I need divine power. To do these things, I don't need divine power. My human power is enough. When he defeated many, many boys with arm wrestling, when he lifted one fellow and threw him on the wall, the boys chuckled and said, Swami, it is divine, you are divine. He said, do you think to defeat you, I need divine power? So all that what Lord has done is actually in the purview of a human
Human.
capacity. So when he says, if you will something for the welfare of the mankind, and I am also a self, I have tested it out for myself. You can literally walk into the world and take up any project, any activity, and Lord, like Bhagwan says, if your intention is pure, and if you are doing it for the welfare of the mankind, men, money, and material will manifest. And we all can see that in multiple ways. So, whatever he did, this will is not just the will of the avatar in that form, it is the will of the avatar in all the forms who believe in his will. So, if you believe that consciousness, this promise will manifest. So, I bow down to my Lord for this beautiful explanation and this three promises which our Lord has made.
And it is only possible to the Lord himself to give such perspective. In one of the Kodai trips, which is quite often narrated, this incident, which is very striking, where Swami had, the things are packed, they were about just about to leave, and the police uh, personnel who had been serving Swami, they were to be blessed, and Swami had this practice of giving the money along with the cloth, so that the stitching charge is also covered. So there are certain number of devotees who were to be blessed. The number was something like 24 or 30, which is a fixed number, and the cloth bundles are kept, and the money was also kept. And in the excitement, the superiors got double the number of that just before the distribution began. They got double the number of people, and all of them were they just came in suddenly and unannounced. So we walked in, and in an instant, everybody realized that the cloth bundles were enough, but the money, Swami wanted the money also to go with the cloth bundle. That is not sufficient, was not there, sufficient amount of money. Now, it is not a big deal for Swami to get that, but the essence is of time, because Swami is about to begin. Now, it will take at least half an hour or 15, 20 minutes at least to arrange that money. Now, Swami did not want to wait. So, Swami, instead of handing over this cloth, he went around for one more round of darshan. And when he finished the darshan, I think the hypothetical number that I'm giving, say for example, 24 currency notes were needed for those 24 additional people. Swami finished the darshan, and Swami came back, and in that during the darshan, many letters were collected. Swami comes, and as the usual habit, Swami is handing over the letter to the boys who were behind him. And then Swami tells one of the elders that, saying that, he points to an orange cover, which was the fourth or third and fourth in that pile. He says, pull that out. And this man pulls it out. It is not yet torn, it's completely sealed. Swami says, all the money you need is there in that. Open it. And he opens. And as Swami said, the exact whatever required money was there in that envelope. And that everybody around, who were around, they were awed. They bowed and said, Swami, your divine Leela. Swami said, it is not divine Leela. It is not divine Leela. To prove a point to all of you, I have to enact this drama. And Swami goes on to explain, when you embark on a mission that is good for the humanity, for the welfare of humanity, when the intent is selfless, when the three things, when it is noble, when it is selfless, when it comes out of pure love, the divine help manifests. And it is to show you all that this principle works each and every time. I have to enact this drama. Swami tells this, and the money was distributed. And Swami goes on to explain that it is not only for me, it is possible to each and every one of you. And one more brother who was with Swami, he would often narrate this incident where one day they were trying to open a door from the other side, and Swami was just holding it with his finger like this. And three boys were pushing the door, the door would not move. And Swami was effortlessly holding, and Swami was looking at something else as if there is no effort at all. The finger he was holding, and later the boys hold Swami's feet and say, Swami, you can do it because you are God. Swami said, it is not divinity. It is that, as I said, it is that purity. If you are pure, if this purity is there in each one of you, you can also do what is being done. I think that is what we have to take. As you said in the beginning, the importance of running over the lives of Avatar is not to learn the story. Yes, it is to an extent to learn the stories as to how their lives moved through circumstances, but more is about what are the lessons that they taught. Or, in some sense, how do we become those avatars? How do we become Rama? How do we become Sai? That is what I think should be the objective of getting into these discussions and satsangs of speaking and thinking about the Lord.
Beautiful. Raju, before we close for today, I'll share a nice small anecdote on this thought which you just shared. One day we were all in the interview room and Bhagwan was distributing apples. And there was a basket of apples, and Swami said, "Come." So one boy picked up the basket and Swami started throwing the apples. One of the boys in the group had stepped out for something, and Swami just very casually finished the whole thing. And then the empty basket, he said, "Everybody got it?" He said, "Yes, Swami." And he said, "Chudu, perfect, exact number." And he tossed that basket to the side. At that very moment, as he tossed the basket, empty basket to the side, the door opened and that boy who had gone out for some work, he entered. And then Swami turned towards him and said, "Hey Noora, did you get apple?" So he said, "No, Swami." Obviously, he had just walked in. "Noora?" And he said, "Hey, bring that basket." So the same basket which was he just threw, the other boy picked it up and he took it to Swami. He just turned it towards Bhagwan. And Swami put his hand inside the basket and threw one more apple towards the boy. And he got the last apple. So, and we all laughed because we knew that Swami has manifested it, materialized it. And Swami said, "Chudu, I'm always perfect." So even before he was perfect, even now he's perfect. So you can't escape the Lord. So it is so beautiful that, thanks for reminding. This is a very beautiful memory. But I think, Raju, today's time is also up. And I thank all the viewers. Brother Srinivas has made, yes, Srinivas brother has made a statement about the spoken word. And that is exactly what Brother Raju said about the promises, the one word. That one word is the word of Dashrath, which he had given, and Rama could follow up. Similarly, Ram also had given word, and that he continued, that I will have only one wife. So this is the same concept. Thank you very much. Raju, any final words before we close for today?
Nothing much, but I think the Lord should, he should bless us that we should be that Rama, we should be that Sai. And I think that is the culmination of reading these lives and understanding these lives.
So, yeah. Thank you very much. And thank all the viewers for joining us. And please keep sharing your thoughts and suggestions to us. We really admire, we really appreciate that. And that helps us to prepare better and present to you. Next week, we are going to look at the places that Avatar chooses to come, the importance of that place, the significance, and the glory of that place. So we'll continue our story of Sai Ram Katha. Sai Ram, and thank you very much. Sai Ram, Brother Raju.
Sai Ram.